Welcome, welcome. Oh, let's pause that going real quick. Yeah, that's us, all right. Welcome to this week's edition of Sports Extra. It is me, Joseph Moore, with,
Christian Hill.
and we're just gonna get right into it. It was a very exciting, really full week in the sports world, and let's just jump into it and just talk about ISU. ISU football faces Southern Illinois in their final home game of the season. And Christian, it's not really looking too good for the Fighting Sycamores right now. They lost that really bad loss to North Dakota State, 44-2, and then they're going against number 4 in the Missouri Valley Conference, Southern Illinois. What do you want to see out of Indiana State in this
I
matchup?
mean, it's pretty much the end of the season for Indiana State. Excuse me. And so what I would just love to see from them is just execution. Like, I would like to see the offense click at the end of the year, put some points on the board. I mean, getting blown out 44-2, like,
yeah,
that hurts. That's
100%.
That is probably one of the biggest deflators I've ever heard, you know.
Yes,
And
especially
so-
when you need to win out for like season and stuff.
And so I definitely want to see the football team. I want to see execution on the offense. I think the defense has done pretty decent this year. I mean, I to a certain degree just can't fault them for giving up 44 points. Like I said, I've always liked the defense, but you only put up 2.
Yeah, and safety. Yeah, so
You know what I'm saying? So
all those points pretty much came from
the points came from the defense.
Yeah.
Whether it was the points being allowed or the points scored came from the defense. And so in their final home game, I would love to see Indiana State play solid defense, but also get some offense.
100%. I feel like for me, I would like to see, because obviously, postseason hopes are dead to this point.
Yeah.
So I would like to just see a show. Just put on a show for the Sycamore fans. Just kind of, cheer them up, even though you're not gonna make it, to the postseason. Just cheer them up, keep it going, make sure it's exciting from an offensive standpoint, defensive standpoint. Just go out there and have fun.
I would agree. I would tell them to go ball out as much as they can, because for the seniors, this is their last home game
Of course,
inside
yeah,
Memorial
yeah.
Stadium. For the juniors, you got another year coming back, but you want to improve on that junior year. Have a pretty strong recruiting class, hopefully, coming in to further the program. Under Coach Colt Malroy,
Mhm.
Kurt Malroy, my bad. This
Mhm.
mask got me tweaking.
Hey.
But under Coach Malroy, and just build on what experiences you gained coming back, having pretty much almost a 2-year hiatus from playing football.
Mhm.
And so
For sure.
coming back, building off that, and then going into next year with a little bit more experience, a better system, a better understanding of the system, and better execution.
Yeah, could not say that better myself. Now, just looking back on the season, because this is, we're probably going to get to it more next Sports Extra next week at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, in like a sentence or two, just say what you think of the season as a whole from the Sycamores.
It was experimental.
Mhm.
That's the
Mhm.
phrase I'll use.
I like that.
It was experimental. They had some ups, they had some downs, kind of like you talked about. Looking at it, came out, got the big win, first game back against Eastern Illinois. Obviously, just played a team that was, above that level, an outclassed team
For sure.
in Northwestern, so we lost 24-6. And then Eastern Kentucky came back and got the win.
Mhm.
At that time, played the second best team in our conference, South Dakota State, lost 44-0. Not surprised, not gonna be honest with you, not surprised because I was on the call for that game,
Mm.
and the Jackrabbits were just way better than us.
Yeah, they're just in just that upper echelon in the Missouri Valley Conference
Yeah.
that right now we don't have the assets to actually.
To actually beat, I agree with that.
Yeah, so.
Then moving into South Dakota, another top tier, pretty top to mid tier team inside our conference. We lost to them 38-10 away, and then played Western Illinois, pretty much an average team to us. They at the bottom of the conference, if I'm not
Mhm.
mistaken, and we beat them pretty handily, 37
Exactly.
to 27.
You were down on them, man.
I definitely was down them. I'm not gonna say a
I was
lot
pulling for them, bro.
because the Western Illinois offense was very explosive. Like they scored a lot of points, even though they lost. They scored a lot of points.
Mhm.
And then you have Missouri State. I pretty much knew they was gonna lose this game, 37-7. Played Youngstown State for homecoming. Another team I thought they were gonna lose to because Youngstown State is another team that just put up a lot of points.
Yep.
Like I think in their last game before they played us, they had like 41 points.
Yeah, they were definitely balling out before, and they beat I believe it was Missouri State, who they beat, but we lost to.
Right, we lost to.
So.
And so they beat them 28-17. Then we played the best team in our conference, lost 44-2. And now we play another mid-tier team in our conference, and it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, I definitely agree. For me, I would say experimental is like a really good word for it. For me, I would say you'll get them next year, bro. Like, that's how I would go because, again, you hadn't played to that point for 2 years.
Right.
Completely new roster, completely new kind of coaching style to a lot of these players and stuff. So really, it's just kind of like, all right, pick yourself up by your bootstraps and get them next year because honestly, I feel like we have like a really good core going forward. I'm not sure, if Inoke Moala is
he's a senior. So
he's a senior. He's out there.
He's been looked at by NFL teams. Probably if he goes in the draft, he'll probably go 6th round.
That's what I'm thinking too. You have a lot of your stars leaving, but I honestly see because there's been a couple of games where a lot of the younger cats kind of got more playing time. I do see maybe not to the level of Inoke Moala or Thompson or something like that, but I definitely see a lot of potential in as long as we have a really good recruiting class, a lot of potential in future teams at ISU. And going on to ISU basketball. Men's basketball won their exhibition games against Rose-Hulman, 82-60. But the main unfortunate news with Indiana State University basketball is Tyreek Key out for the season with a season-ending injury and surgery. And this is a really tough loss for Indiana State, knowing that obviously you have one of the fan favorites, one of the entering his 5th year with the team, just an absolute baller for the Sycamores.
Yeah.
It's a really tough loss. Where do you think, Christian, you would go from here if you're like just maybe your coach kind of talk to the players about this or a player just kind of uplifting your team? What would you say?
I mean, I think Tyreek Key being I talked to him last year during the interview, and he talked about him in his senior year being more of a vocal leader, and I think that's truly gonna come into play now, especially with him being out for the season, so he's unable to play his 5th year. Giving game to the freshmen that are playing, and helping the players that are coming from Division II, because we have 3 in total that came from Division II from Lincoln Memorial with our head coach Josh Schwartz, and so helping them understand the D1 game a little bit better.
Of course.
Obviously, Tyreek Key, been here for 4 years, going on his 5th year, has played Division I basketball for a long time. Been part of all MVC teams multiple times, multiple years.
I believe he was voted first in the all Missouri Valley Conference this year.
Right, so, all MVC. He was part of. If I'm not mistaken, he was part of the all tournament team. Back when the tournament, back in Arch Madness, back in I'm old, so I gotta say I think it was 2019.
Yeah. Oh, showing off your age a little bit,
I'm old, but yeah, back in 2019, and so it's going to be more about him being vocal, like. He's truly going to have to step into a player coaching role with him being
yes, I would agree.
With him being injured like this, and I think he's going to fill that role very well. Learning the news that he had that shoulder injury, and now he has to he's sitting out for the season because we talked about it. Jim Schwartz talked about it in this interview after we called the game, of where Schwartz feels like Tyreek Key can be a player professionally. And he has to make the best decision for himself, basketball-wise. I think coming back for a 5th year was a good basketball option. And now that he's hurt, I think once he recovers, I think he should just go into straight training. I don't think he should. 100%, yeah. I don't think he should try and because essentially he still has another year of eligibility.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think it's worth it. Again, I feel like you would just go straight into training, playing pro ball. Either it's in the NBA on like a late 2nd round pick, or overseas, or G League, something like that. I feel like that would be the best basketball option for Tyreek. And just kind of looking at Indiana State's basketball roster for this year, I feel like there's a lot of gems in this recruiting class. I'm not gonna lie.
From our first game, seeing what we saw. Xavier Blessing obviously stood out. He was our player of the game. He had 15 points and 9 assists.
Yeah, 15 points, 9 assists, a couple of boards on it. Yeah, I think a steal or 2.
Yeah, so he was definitely one of the highlights of the game. Cameron Crawford got into foul trouble early, who was definitely another highlight there.
Yep.
I think Julian Larry is starting to take another role in this game. He's looking to be a little bit more aggressive.
Yep.
And you saw some of the younger guys as well. So sophomore De'Aaron Tucker, we saw him get into action.
Yep.
Came in the second half, got some quality points, played some quality minutes.
For sure.
Zach Hodge played some quality minutes as well. And so you start to see a lot of how the team is shaped out. Obviously, you can't, like Coach Swartz talked about in this interview, you can't expect to come out the game and shoot like 5 of 5 from the three-point line to start the game.
Of course.
But they looked aggressive. Obviously, they were playing kind of like we talked about with ISU football when they played Northwestern. They played an underclass team. Like Northwestern was an overclass team for us.
Of course.
Rose-Hulman was an underclass team for us as a Division I program versus them being Division III. And so, obviously, there's some takeaways from that. But I think the chemistry is very good between the team. I think it's going to be interesting to see the way Coach Swartz has that lineup.
Yeah, me too. Especially when it comes to like the forward position, center, and stuff. Because honestly, you have a couple of options at center. I mean, you can have probably Nick Hiddle or De'Aaron Tucker at the 5, and I feel like if you go for a smaller lineup, like we kind of talked during the broadcast, I feel like for Josh Squirt's offense, that would be like ideal.
No, it definitely would be to push the pace the way he wants to play that fast-paced offense. With Kalen Stevens, I think he would be great at the 5.
Stevens, yeah, for sure.
He played the 5. What was that? Thursday. I'm sorry. He played the 5 on Thursday, and so he's not bad at the 5 spot. I think it's going to be interesting, like I said, how they match up against bigger competition.
Of course. But I feel like, especially in today's game, you can scheme around that. And with Stevens himself, he's an experienced player. He's an experienced forward. I believe his junior year, played at Tallahassee CC. So I think he's experienced enough to where he could probably maneuver it and guard bigger players in an intelligent way to where you can probably contain most bigger, centers in the Missouri Valley Conference. And just going back, just talking about like 2 players I think can like kind of step up with Tyreek Key's absence, Kumari Peterson and, as you mentioned, Cameron Crawford. Cameron Crawford, I feel he's going to be like my favorite player on the team, just because he's just really fun to watch. Because he has a large wingspan, he's fast, he's aggressive on the inside, but he can also shoot the 3 as well. He's just like kind of a do-it-all guard with like the, typical, prototypical, perfect size for a basketball player. And I think he could provide a lot of energy, it being his freshman year at Indiana State. So I think he can provide a lot for this team in Tyreek Key's absence. Like you said, he got into foul trouble early, but honestly, if he didn't get in foul trouble, I wouldn't be surprised if he'd be our player of the game to that point. So yeah, that was a very fun game to watch with Rose-Hulman. And then going into more hoops, NBA news, Christian. How you liking the NBA season so far?
Man, I've been loving the NBA season, man. I think it's very competitive. I like there's a new energy about it. It's like
exactly, yeah.
It's more aggressive. The fact especially with the rule changing of the foul calling. I think that's seeing the game of basketball take a step in the right direction.
Completely.
I think, but it's a counteract though, because of the new basketball.
Explain.
I don't know if you've seen a lot of the interviews and the posts going on, but like a lot of NBA players, not saying they're complaining necessarily, but like there's an adjustment to the new basketball, the Wilson basketball.
True.
They switched from Spalding to Wilson.
Oh yeah.
I've seen a lot of NBA players talk about like, that they don't like the feel of the ball. Other people are like, when it's a brand new ball, it doesn't feel good to play in, but once it's broken in, it's an amazing ball to play with. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to KD, but like he was like, it feels the same to me.
Exactly.
Like, it just Kevin Durant being the all-time.
Hey, with his stats, I can tell. Yeah.
With Kevin Durant just being the all-time great scorer that he is,
a little change in the rubber and the leather and stuff.
It's not gonna make a difference to him. But I think that there's like this counterbalance of like, if we took out all these foul calls, we hope that the game is going to not necessarily decrease in scoring, but like it's going to be a better game. But then you have player percentages dropping, like dudes that are normally like 45% from the field, career, are like shooting like 30%.
Yeah, just playing terrible. And I don't think I think it's good for basketball.
It is good for basketball.
But I just believe it's just going to take a minute for a lot of these players to understand. It was kind of like the FIBA stuff with the FIBA rules.
Right.
Back when they were in like the Olympics, where they just kind of had to get adjusted to how stuff was getting called and everything. Knowing that even though I'd like throw my hands into a defender, I'm not going to necessarily get that call. And I feel like that makes it hard. I feel like all the games that James Harden, for example, has done well in, he's shot over 10 free throws in that game. So, it's going to take a lot of adjustment, and it just kind of feels bad because a lot of these players have historic moments, like Dame Lillard, who's struggling this year. We all know he's a very good basketball player, obviously, but it just kind of sucks to see that he's going through a slump right now, and hopefully he's able to pick it up, here soon.
Yeah, but it's still early in the season,
True.
We're not even, kind of looking at the records, we're not even really 10 games into the season yet. And so it's an 82-game season. You still have some time to fix things, get things in order. Exactly. And I think the teams that need to come around are going to come around. The teams that start off hot but fall off will fall off.
Okay, and let's get to one of those hot teams, the Warriors. I know the Warriors are very fond to you, Christian. I'm kind of on and off with them, but right now they're 8-1 and have probably the best team in basketball now. And the real question is, one, are they going to have a coming back to earth moment? Or are they going to continue this kind of trajectory? Maybe not to 8-1 and continue that ratio throughout the season. But are they going to continue that trajectory, or are they going to have that coming back to earth moment? But Klay Thompson's going to come back. So what do you think?
I see them having that coming back to earth moment. I'm not going to lie to you. But I think they're going to still be. I think they're still going to finish top 5 in the West.
Okay.
I think they're going to finish top 5 in the West. I think Klay's going to come back, and then like I said, this is way too early to tell. But at the moment, Jordan Poole is definitely leading the most improved player race.
I feel like for me personally, I think it should be Cole Anthony.
That's fair. That's fair though. I can accept that.
But yeah, he's
for Jordan Poole, you gotta think about it. Yesterday he had 25 points, outscored Steph Curry.
Yeah.
And just been playing phenomenal. So if Klay comes back, you move Jordan Poole to the bench. He's going to be your 6th man.
You're going to give whatever 6-man point guard on the opposing team buckets.
Buckets, right? And then I was looking at it yesterday. You're starting to get your rookies involved a little bit more.
Yep.
The bench isn't that bad.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, they're playing well. Otto Porter, he's been playing really well. Who else is on their bench? But yeah, they just all been playing really well. You have experienced guys with the Warrior system in Kevon Looney. And Wiseman hasn't even come back from
No, he hasn't.
So, Klay and Wiseman has not come back. So, from now on, health-wise, theoretically, hopefully, they should be getting better as time goes on. Just kind of saying some of the stats for the Warriors. The Warriors have the best record. They're first in net rating, first in points, first in defense, first in threes, first in assists, third in rebounds, third in steals, third in field goal percentage, second in three-point percentage, second in field goals allowed, and third in 3 points allowed. They're hooping right now.
They are hooping right now.
For me, I think they're going to have that coming back to earth moment. I don't think this team is going to be, because they're very experienced, and I think that's what's kind of driving their success early in the season. They're experienced, and in the beginning of the season, you can kind of sneak some teams. Teams that traditionally will be better towards the mid to end of the season, where they're getting their stuff together, ready to go to the playoffs. In the beginning, they might have new additions, they might have new, players, new systems that they're, new lineups that they're trying to run and stuff. I do feel that, oftentimes you can sneak teams, and I think their experience is allowing them to do a lot of the damage that they're doing. But I still believe they're a good team. I feel like top 5 in the West is not crazy at all. I think honestly, I feel like they probably should be top 5 in the West. And once Klay comes back, that's another thing. A lot of people think that once Klay comes back, we're getting Game 6 Klay. He's going to come back and then he's immediately going to be the same. I think he's going to be maybe 60% of what he was.
Initially, yeah. Once he gets his game, he hasn't played an NBA game in 2 years now.
Yeah, Chris Paul was with the Houston Rockets. Jimmy Butler was on the Philadelphia 76ers.
Right.
Yeah, it was a very different NBA.
So it's been about 2 years. So of course he's going to get his sea legs under him. I'll say if he comes back, towards the end, partially in the season, by playoff time he should be about 70 to 80% Clay, and that's really all you need, especially if James Wiseman comes back as well and is strong. Andrew Wiggins continues to play his solid role, continues to be the Harrison Barnes of the team.
True.
And then
speaking of Harrison Barnes, he's been hooping.
He has been hooping, but no, if you take it that way, I think they have a true shot as a championship contender this year and next year.
Yeah, I agree. They're definitely going to be. I'm not sure if I would say contender because I just can't see them making it past the second round, honestly, in the West. I guess there's a universe, but I just can't see it with this team. But moving on to the true love in my life, the Indiana Pacers. And the Pacers are 3-1 in the month of November, so Joe is very happy in the month of November so far. And they've just been playing really well. I've watched the majority of their games so far, and the Pacers play really bad when they're not healthy, like any other NBA team. Like right now, they have pretty much almost everybody back. They have 3 other 5 starters. Karis LeVert came back. Malcolm Brogdon is coming back. He's had little knick-knack injuries here and there. And, all in all, they're playing really well. And I feel like right now the Pacers just have to battle health.
Yeah.
That's their biggest fight right now. And for me, to the question of can the Pacers make noise in the East, I 100% think they can. This is coming from a complete place of bias. But I feel like they can make it out of the first round, which has been the biggest thing with them.
Yeah.
Making it out of the first round. I feel like they can make it out of the first round, make it to the second round. If they make it to the second round, I am in euphoria. I am extremely happy.
I don't disagree with you, Joe. I think the thing about it is the Pacers will probably be a mid team going into the NBA season, finishing.
Hey,
I think them making it to the second round of the playoffs comes with who they match up with in the first round.
That's true. If they match up against
the Nets or maybe even the
Celtics.
If they match up against the Nets or even the 76ers, I don't think they come out.
Yeah, I don't think they come out. They're not knocking out.
I think they give the Knicks a fight. Mm-hmm. I think they give. I don't know where the Celtics are going to land. The Celtics are very much a toss-up for me.
True.
I think they might struggle against the Bulls. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, because they don't really have no wing defender. Because who's going to guard DeMar DeRozan?
That's what I'm saying. So I think they may struggle against the Bulls. Charlotte, they could probably beat.
Yeah, because they already proved that they can beat them in the play-in last year.
So Charlotte's another team that they have the possibility of beating. And so it really fought for them to come out of the second round. For them to come out of the first round, going into the second round, it really depends on a matchup.
I would agree with that. I could see that 100%.
I think, obviously, we have, of course, Duarte, 15 points. He had 5 rebounds and 2 assists. Playing very solid as a rookie. Like you said, Karis LeVert came back, gave 22 in his first game back for real. And then you had the two, your power forward and your center combo, your front court.
Turbonis. Yeah.
Double-doubles.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Double-doubles. Love to see it. And so, with this Pacers team, I'm not going to say the sky's the limit because it's not. But.
You couldn't just say that for me, bro.
No, I'm sorry. I can't.
That's crazy.
But they have a definite shot of being in that middle contention pack for the East. And then, like I said, I'll be making it to the second round of the playoffs depending on who they match up with in the first round.
Word. I would have definitely agree there. Honestly, I feel like, again, like I said, a lot of it's on health. You made a great point of it being based on matchup as well. I do think that the ceiling for this team is Eastern Conference Finals. Make it happen, Pacers. Make it happen. Lakers suck. Why?
It's a lot of reasons the Lakers suck.
Why do the Pacers suck? Why do the Lakers suck, Brad?
Spacing, I think scoring options, defense. There's so many things to point out with the Lakers.
It's all bad. Just the Lakers media machine is just absolutely tearing into Russell Westbrook right now. And honestly, a lot of the criticism is very valid, honestly, just because Russell Westbrook is just one of those players that kind of seems like he goes through this kind of phase each season where, in the beginning of the season, it's like, this is the worst basketball player in the league.
Yeah.
And then towards, the middle of the season, he might make some noise and be like, oh, dang, he's putting up, 30-point games with, 20 assists or something like that.
Right.
And then, come playoff time, it just falls apart.
No, I definitely agree with you there. I mean, Russell Westbrook. I seen this tweet the other day. It was so funny. It said Russell Westbrook has the shooting ability of Benjamin Simmons, but the confidence of Steph Curry.
Hey.
And it makes sense because I mean, you look at the stats. He played 29 minutes. He was 1 of 3. He was 1 of 3 from the 3-point line, and then he was 1 of 13 from the floor. So he made 1 3. He made 1 3, and the rest of his points came from the free throw line where he was 5 of 8.
I think Russell Westbrook is single-handedly making LeBron's hairline push back more and more each time he plays.
And you know, it's like I said, it's a lot of things. Anthony Davis only played 7 minutes when they played the Blazers.
True.
Finished with 2 points, was 1 of 5. Carmelo Anthony being, you know, as old as he is now, you know,
he
came in the draft in 2003 with Bron, about a year or two older. Finished with 12 points, but he was 14. He was 4 of 14. 0 for 4 from the 3-point line. Made all his free throws. Like, your leading scorer in that game was Malik Monk. That should never happen on a team where you have Russell Westbrook, Anthony Davis, and LeBron James. Obviously, LeBron James didn't play because he is injured.
Yeah. And
so he has to sit out and get some rest and everything like that before coming back.
Yeah, you're just going to get the good and the bad when you come with all these players. You know, AD, I don't think he's innocent either. A lot of people kind of put AD in this kind of untouchable range. But it feels like a lot of what AD needs to do is just kind of get over himself as well, like kind of Russell Westbrook.
No, I think for Anthony Davis, it comes down to injuries. Like he needs to be able to stay on the court.
Yeah, one tweet was like Anthony Day to Davis. I really like that tweet.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Like when you got 36, 37-year-old LeBron James playing more games than you,
and hooping,
you know, sometimes injuries are a thing of. You know, it's just unpreventable. Like, you just can't prevent the injuries.
Yeah, and I'm not bashing him for the injuries. I'm more talking about the fact that, one, he doesn't want to play center. I feel like in every, like, just going through the eye test, and I'm sure the stats probably back me up, is with whenever Anthony Davis is playing the center, they just have a better team in general. They play better. It's more fluent, especially when you have an offense that's kind of struggles with spacing with him at the 4. Mm-hmm. You're going to want to move him at 5. Anthony Davis isn't really like a shooting player, but he can shoot the ball at like a consistent clip.
Right.
And so, you know, he has to move to the 5. I'm not really sure why he's so infatuated with the 4 position.
Because with the 4, he gets more of isolation basketball, one.
True.
In certain ways, he can create the mismatches against the 5. Mm-hmm. Like, when he's playing the 5, he has to guard, or he has to... You know, his matchups are Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid, you know, stuff like that. If I'm playing the 4,
I'm gonna get Tobias Harris.
I'm gonna get Tobias Harris. I'm gonna get Jeremy Grant. Like, not saying those guys aren't bad or anything, or like they could stop AD or anything like that, but like
they can't stop AD.
AD's gonna eat if you playing them.
Yeah.
He's not necessarily gonna eat when you playing Joel Embiid or Nikola Jokic.
But here's my thing: is like, you don't want to play the 5 because you're afraid to get matched up with 5s, and to a degree I understand that, but at the same time you're probably going to be guarded by the 5 anyway.
Yeah.
Because if I'm the coach of a defending team, you know, say I'm the Jazz or something, I'm not going to put Joe Ingles on Anthony Davis. I'm going to put Rudy Gobert on Anthony Davis.
But Anthony Davis he's very good at exploiting that.
Exactly. So like that's what I'm saying. Just play the 5. So don't try to like do all this, you know, hooping and hollering, trying to play the 4 with all the advantages that you come from, you know, your game in that 5 position. But like, you know, I guess I understand it to a degree. I see what you're saying, but just for me, like logically, I'm just like, just play the 5. Just take one for the team. I know you don't like it, but just play it.
I think if he was healthier, like I'll say it like this.
That is true.
If Anthony Davis didn't have the bad knees that he has, I think he would be fine playing the 5.
Yeah.
I think it's because he knows playing the 5, he's going to get banged up much more than playing the 4.
That's true.
And so it's going to take more out of him come playoff time.
Word. Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I didn't actually think about that. But yeah, definitely you're going to have that more contact when you play the 5, of course, with, you know, people who are like 7 foot, 250 plus. Joel Embiid, Rudy Gobert just banging you up, especially when you put them in the post. I can understand that to a degree. And then moving on, the Bulls are back. And is Zach Levine confirmed to be the greatest Bull in history?
He's definitely the greatest shooting guard Bull in history. Like there's never been a better Chicago shooting guard than Zach Levine. I mean,
I mean, true, but I feel like the only person who could probably contest Zach Levine is probably Caruso for me.
Jimmer for that.
Jimmer was a hooper.
Jimmer played on well. No, not even. I'm trying to think of all the great Bulls. Let's see. Kirk Heinrich, Tony Kukoc,
Steve Kerr.
Yeah. Horace Grant.
True, bro.
But no.
Yeah.
All jokes aside. Zach Levine, but he's definitely, one of the better Bulls to ever come out as far as the offensive attack is concerned. And it's crazy that we bring up Zach Levine because I was watching a video on him. He has the ability to be not only an elite scorer, but he can play solid defense.
He really can.
If he's able to understand angles a little bit better.
Yeah. And help defense for me too.
Yeah, help defense is a big thing.
Individual defense, he's actually pretty solid, but just like help defense, he just
he's not gonna lock up your that's what Lonzo's there for. That's what
sure.
Patrick Williams is there for. Maybe even DeRozan on some possessions, but to lock up your best defender or to lock up the dude you don't want to guard.
Exactly.
But Zach Levine is there, to play defense on your third best option. Somebody sitting in the corner, somebody cutting off the wing. He can use his speed and athleticism to get to the rack and come, be a help side defender and everything like that.
Yeah, for me, with the Bulls specifically, I feel like Zach Levine. Well, one for Zach Levine from a defensive standpoint, he came to Team USA for he told the coach I'm the defender, because he's trying to make that conscious effort to be a better defender. Which, for me, I think defense really comes from more of an effort standpoint than anything else when it comes to, the NBA level. Because, when you're a college player, you might just be undersized, and you're never going to be that great of a defender. But, at the NBA level, pretty much everybody's NBA size to where they can guard their position.
Right.
As long as they're on a good competitive team. Because if if I'm playing for the Houston Rockets, I'm not going to be giving it all on defense every night. Because I know I'm a lose that. I'm going to just get tired. I might risk injury. I might, all these negatives that come with playing hard defense on a losing team.
Mm-hmm.
But, if I'm playing for, like you said, the Warriors or something where I'm going to have an expectation and a culture around me to where, I'm going to have Draymond Green just breathing down my neck each time that I make a defensive, mistake.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try to, be a better defender. I'm going to try to do everything.
Right,
now,
I definitely can agree here.
Now, all these players that are coming from losing situations, Vucevic, Lonzo, not Caruso, but DeRozan, all from sub 500 teams for the most part. They're now in a position to where they can be a competitive team in a conference. So a lot of them are giving a whole lot more effort on defense.
Right. No, I definitely agree with
you.
So
kudos to them, man. Kudos to them. And now you want to get into some football, man?
Man, let's talk about it.
Oh,
what game we starting with?
Ooh. Honestly, let's talk about Josh Allen and how he struggled against Josh Allen.
Man, Josh Allen dominated Josh Allen, man. It was crazy.
It was crazy. Josh Allen threw an interception to Josh Allen.
Josh Allen got sacked by Josh Allen.
It was crazy.
What else happened? Josh Allen got tackled by Josh Allen for a loss.
Man, Josh Allen was cooking, but on the other hand, Josh Allen was kind of getting smoked by Josh Allen.
Yeah, it was. But no, speaking into it, because this was actually a very interesting game.
Word.
The Buffalo Bills, they lost 9-6. It was a pretty bad game by the quarterback, Josh Allen.
Yeah.
And so, looking at it, there were some key injuries. 2 offensive linemen were out for the Buffalo Bills. And you kind of saw, the struggles. The linebacker, Josh Allen, was coming off the edge, was able to get a lot of pressure. And the quarterback, Josh Allen, was making a lot of rush throws, a lot of rush passes. And you saw what happened in the Super Bowl happen in a regular season game.
Explain that. Mm-hmm.
So, let's think about the Super Bowl with the Kansas City Chiefs and Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Mahomes was under rush pretty much the entire game, and you kind of saw that with the game today. I mean, not today, but yesterday,
Yeah.
Josh Allen being under pressure pretty much all game, really couldn't make the throws he wanted to make. Struggled pretty much the entire game. And then you have on the other side of the ball, the Jaguars just being the Jaguars.
Yeah. I mean, I'm starting to pull up the red flag on Trevor Lawrence a little bit. To his credit, again, new situation, new coach, new culture, just new everything for him. But right at this point, you're 8 games into the season, and you have not been playing to where you look like you deserve that #1 pick so far, especially from quarterback. But again, quarterbacks kind of take a little bit of time to kind of mature, understand the game at this level, but it's just not looking too good. What do you think? Do you think there's any outstanding kind of problem with Trevor Lawrence in your eyes, or do you think it's just kind of a thing if he's just not mature enough?
I think there's there is an outstanding problem with him, but I also think it's the coaching.
Word.
I think they have to slow down the game for for Trevor Lawrence. I'm sorry, they have to slow down the game for Trevor Lawrence. Like he should be running a system that's very conducive to his college system. Like it should be it should be a transition type of thing, where his system in college is kind of just transferred over, and you start to integrate more coverages and more excuse me, and more plays to help him ease that transition.
Of course, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I would agree.
And I think Trevor Lawrence has to have better decision making as well. It wasn't bad in this game. He was 15 of 26, 118 yards. Didn't throw any touchdowns. Didn't throw any interceptions. And then he had 3 carries for 4 yards. So he didn't do too bad. Yeah. But on the other hand, when you look at the more experienced Josh Allen, like I said, he was rushed on a lot of things, but he was still 31 of 47 for 264 yards, but he threw 2 interceptions. One of those 2, Josh Allen.
Shout out to him.
And so for the Buffalo Bills, it was just a takeaway of your quarterback being under pressure. You're trying to make the most of what you can, and you just weren't able to.
Right.
And this is one of those L's I think that they chalk up as dang, we had a lot of key pieces missing that cost us this game.
Yeah, I would agree too. Again, from the Bills' perspective, I wouldn't be freaking out too much.
Yeah,
the record is a worse reflection of what the team actually is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're 5-3. You're really not going to be having the same ratio at the end of the season.
Yeah, you're definitely going to surge and finish the season pretty well.
Yeah, the Bills are definitely a team to look out for. I wouldn't want to face them in any week so far. And then moving on to a real thriller, the Ravens, and their victory in OT against the Vikings. And just watching this game, it was just a lot of just Lamar Jackson struggling at first because, to the Vikings' credit, they were defending really well on Lamar Jackson. Probably one of the best defenses I've seen against Lamar Jackson this season so far. And he was having a hard time. He was having a couple of rush throws. I believe he threw an interception or 2. It wasn't looking too good, especially in the first half. And then once that second half hit, he kind of just turned it on because I feel I'm not sure if you agree with me, but I feel like he's the most competitive person in the NFL right now.
I wouldn't say competitive, but I'd say he's the most electrifying person in the field.
Okay.
I saw, it was on ESPN, I seen it today, where he outthrew Kirk Cousins. And then he outran Dalvin Cook. Looking at his stats, Kirk Cousins was 17 of 28 for 187 yards and 2 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson passing the ball was 27 of 41. So he pretty much didn't double, but had a lot more throws than Kirk Cousins. Had 10 more completions for 266 yards. He threw 3 touchdowns, but he threw 2 interceptions as well. And then on the ground, he had 21 carries for 120 yards, where Dalvin Cook had 17 carries for 110 yards.
Yeah.
And so Lamar Jackson is truly a workhorse in the NFL.
I would agree.
And he's doing it his own way.
I just love I just love players whose personality reflects them on the field.
Yeah.
Or on the court. Because the person I would think of mostly is probably Chad Johnson. And how
Ocho Cinco,
man. He the way he kind of carried himself, he did it his own way. And that's just why I love it. And with Lamar Jackson, it's not really from an entertainment standpoint Chad was.
Right.
But for him, it's just I want to be the best. I know I'm the best player on this field right now. I'm gonna show it. I'm gonna I'm gonna drive. I'm gonna do whatever I can on God's green earth to get this win for this team. And, his drive, his competitiveness kind of reflects, on the field. And that's just kind of why I love him. I just love watching the Ravens play it each week. And I feel like, I believe this was like the third or fourth time Lamar Jackson has came up and like when they were down and then come back and win. The Colts were one, Chiefs, I believe I'm missing one more, but they were just down and then he just kind of turned it on and then just kept it going.
He's electric. He has that comeback. He has that miracle kid mentality.
Word.
And it shows. It shows on the field and it shows off the field.
Word.
And I think he is the most electrifying person to watch in football.
Word. And then going to like kind of the Vikings side, they kind of surprised me in this game. Obviously we talked about their defense already and them being like one of the better schemes against Lamar Jackson that we've seen so far this season. But from an offensive standpoint, Kirk Cousins was playing his game pretty well, 7 of 28, 187 yards, 2 tutties. And then from a rushing standpoint, Dalvin Cook showing that he's still one of the best running backs in the league.
Yeah, for sure.
And then Justin Jeffries was absolutely
the Giddy himself.
He was killing, man. He was killing it, bro.
The Giddy himself.
Only 3 receptions, but 69 yards, nice, and 20, touchdowns. So he did his thing. He really did his thing. And again, he's one of my favorite players to watch. He had like a couple of clutch receptions and just game winning kind of plays and stuff that would just really good football plays from him, and he just kind of showed out and showed why he again is one of the best wide receivers in the league.
No, I definitely agree with that.
And one of the funniest things from this game was the fullbacks. The fullbacks for each team made some clutch, like, in the game plays, and they just kind of showed out. I believe there was one. I believe it was who was it? It was Ricard, rather, for the Ravens, who had a touchdown.
Richard Ricard.
Yep, he had one really good drive where it was probably the best drive of his career, where he just had like 2 or 3 receptions and a touchdown, and he was just mowing down just secondaries and stuff. Really fun to watch. And from the Vikings standpoint, they had a fullback who kind of did his own thing as well. So it was just a really good day to be a fullback for this game, and that was just kind of like a quirky thing that just happened in that game. And then moving on to another football game, Aaron Rodgers' Packers fall to bad Chiefs team. You want to explain bad Chiefs team?
Oh, this team is awful.
Okay.
This team is awful. The Kansas City Chiefs, I watched this game. The Kansas City Chiefs put up 13 points. They put up 7 in the first, put up 6 in the second. Didn't score a point the rest of the game.
Yeah.
The Green Bay Packers, without Aaron Rodgers, they had Jordan Love in, scored a touchdown in the fourth quarter, and the Chiefs beat the Packers 13-7.
This was
awful.
This was the worst win I've ever seen in my life.
Patrick Mahomes was 20 of 37 for 166 yards and a touchdown.
It was.
That's not even a good Patrick Mahomes number, like. And then you had Jordan Love on the other hand. I'm giving Jordan Love a pass because obviously this is his first game, and I ain't gonna say a lot to you. He's not really ready to take over Aaron Rodgers' position.
Obviously, yeah.
And he was 19 of 34 for 190 yards. He threw a touchdown and he threw an interception. Didn't have the worst game, but when your top target is Randall Cobb, as far as yards are concerned, and you only connect with Devontae Adams for 6 receptions for 42 yards, there's an issue there.
That is definitely a problem.
And I mean,
to the Chiefs' credit, they probably, because I didn't see much from the secondary, but I'm sure they were, keying in on Adams a little bit more. But still, only connecting with him for 42 yards is still a bad number.
Because he had 14 targets, and he caught 6 receptions. So, but it was a lot of Jordan Love getting the jitters out. And, I'm not upset at Jordan Love at all.
Of course.
But the Chiefs shouldn't be proud of this win.
No.
I'm gonna be honest with you. It's not like you didn't beat Lamar Jackson, you didn't beat Josh Allen, you didn't even beat Baker Mayfield. Like, you beat Jordan Love.
Kudos to him, I guess. I guess a win's a win, but from the Chiefs' perspective, it's like, I'm not sure if you saw that one clip. It was a clip from Barbershop Talk. an uninterrupted podcast, and Patrick Mahomes talked about how last season he just started reading defenses, and how he, like, before that he's kind of just flinging it like, ooh, he's open, and then just pass it to him. And I feel like a lot of that, like, that one just like weak part of his game has just been getting exposed again and again, and his lacking ability of reading defensive.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you there. I also feel like the defenses have figured out Patrick Mahomes. And I can't, like, I know we've talked about this prior episodes, but like, that Kansas City Chiefs defense has figured out. I mean, Kansas City, all defenses have figured out the Kansas City Chiefs offense. That's what I meant to say. Completely. I don't know why I was playing word scrabble, but they definitely have figured out that offense. And it's time for Andy Reid to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, but I'm like, honestly, I don't know what you do. Like, I'm not sure what you do.
You still keep the big plays, but you mix in the short game and the mid game.
That would probably
you have to turn Patrick Mahomes into a more decisive passer. Like, you just can't.
Yeah.
The cannon just can't come out anymore.
Yeah, he can't just come out the gate just making magic and flinging it down. Flinging it down the field and just be like, hey, he's down there somewhere.
Right, like he has to learn to read the defenses.
He has to, yeah, and that's.
And I still think he can be a GOAT.
I mean, we're what 9 games into it. It's looking a little rough.
But but you gotta think about it. It's one season in his entire career.
Yeah, it's one season, but still, this could easily be just a pivotal moment in his career.
That's fair. I can give you that.
This could be easily a pivotal moment to where people would always argue on Twitter or something, talking about, greatest quarterbacks right now in the league, and he's going to be maybe third in the discussion. And so I feel this is going to be very pivotal, and if he doesn't figure it out by week 10, I feel like we shouldn't really be talking about GOATs. I feel like we should be talking about, is Patrick Mahomes going to be the guy to absolutely tear up the league for the next couple of years and actually be that guy? And not even, because right now we're thinking like he can achieve greatness. Right now
it's more so
he's just trying to be great. He's trying to just
It's more so of, will Patrick Mahomes be the face of the league after this season?
Exactly. So that 2K, that Madden curse kind of, I guess, caught up to him, I guess. And hopefully he figures that out. Hopefully the Chiefs again, like you said, they need to change something. They need to do something different rather than what's going on, because right now it is obviously not working.
No, I definitely agree with you there.
Cardinals continue to dominate.
Man, the Cardinals, they are on a roll. And the thing about it is, Kyler Murray didn't even play yesterday.
He didn't play.
No. Colt McCoy was the quarterback. Went 22 of 26. He missed 4 throws.
Credit to him.
249 yards and a touchdown.
Credit to him.
James Conner, the former Steelers running back, had an amazing game. He had 21 carries for 96 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then he also had 5 receptions for 77 yards and a touchdown. Man. So he totaled a lot of yards on the day.
D-Hop wasn't even. D-Hop wasn't there.
Didn't play. Like,
wow.
And they're still like,
wow.
And obviously it's San Francisco. San Francisco has been kind of up and down this season.
But they're still like, Frank, they're still a solid team though.
They're still the 49ers.
Yeah.
But the Cardinals are winning without
their
MVP and arguably one of the best wide receivers in the league.
That's scary.
And then you got on the other side of the ball Jimmy Garoppolo, who went 28 of 40. So he didn't have a bad game. No. 326 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception. But, George Kittle being the same guy that he is, 6 receptions, 101 yards and a touchdown. Always continue to do stuff. Deebo Samuels, 5 receptions for 63 yards. Like to see him get a little bit more yardage. But I think people are focusing in more on Deebo Samuels now, of how electric he is.
Of course, he's a big play guy.
And so I think that's definitely there. But the Cardinals are still dominating. I think they are the team to beat in the NFL.
Right now, yeah.
And it's going to be interesting to see when Kyler Murray comes back and playoff times happen. Will they do what the Seattle Seahawks did and be a team that starts out the season amazing? Everybody figures out their play calling and play schemes down towards the end of the season, and they finish with like the Seahawks do. What I say like the Seahawks did last year.
Yeah.
Where Russell Wilson came out, MVP, amazing track, this and that.
Mm-hmm.
Then everybody figured out what the system was.
What's going on?
And, shut Russell Wilson down. Are they going to be able to do the same thing with Kyler Murray? Maybe, maybe not, because he is, in certain ways, he's like a younger version, I don't say more athletic, but like more athletic version of Russell Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think his decision making is as amazing as Russell Wilson's yet.
I don't think I don't think his decision making really comes from just like an intellect standpoint, like just a football IQ standpoint. He's just a small guy. And it's kind of he's just going to have to maneuver and have those same challenges that like a Drew Brees had, just being smaller.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily he has that athleticism that like Drew Brees never had,
right? Where
he can just kind of scramble a lot and then, kind of like slip through
right.
a lot of the defenses and stuff. So I don't really think it's a lack of, football IQ. Obviously being, a third-year player,
mm-hmm.
He's going to have, little lapses in judgment and stuff like that. But still, I think it's just more from a size standpoint. And then to your point, which was a really good one, where you can see, it's possible that some defenses start to figure out the Cardinals' offense. I could see that happening because with Kyler Murray, just going back to just his physical,
talent.
Physical talent, I can see defenses figuring them out fairly quickly and just kind of exploiting certain weaknesses in their offense. But it's just going to, time will tell.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see.
It's going to be very interesting to see. And Titans and Rams, this game surprised me.
Man, it surprised me too.
Like, you say that out of really anger. Did you get like toast about somebody on either team or?
No, I didn't. I just, I like the Rams are my Super Bowl favorites, man.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna lose to Tennessee without Derrick Green.
Hey, bro, AP effect.
No, AP definitely got a touchdown this game, and I was a little bit surprised. I'm like, AP got the most carries.
Mm-hmm.
He had the third most yards, and he got a touchdown. I was sitting there like,
AP effect, man.
AP?
So crazy.
But no, Ryan Tannehill played a pretty solid game, 19 of 27. He had one touchdown through the air, one interception, and he had a touchdown on the ground. And then A.J. Brown and Julio didn't do much, but did enough to get the win. And then you have, on the other side of it, Matthew Stafford, 31 of 48 for 294 yards. He threw a touchdown, but he threw 2 interceptions. And I think that was the biggest thing of it was like, Matthew Stafford has all the keys, right? You got Robert Woods, who had 7 receptions for 98 yards.
Yeah.
You got Cooper Kupp, who had 11 receptions for 95 yards. Tyler Higbee's a really solid tight end in the league.
Of course,
5 receptions for 51 yards. And you still don't get it done. So, for me, I feel like this game is slightly on the defense.
Yeah, okay. So, those 2 interceptions from Matthew Stafford were really, really bad interceptions.
Yes.
And I feel like this game really wasn't won by the Titans' offense, but was 100% won by the Titans' defense.
Yeah.
Because I believe his first interception was he was about to get a safety. The defensive end for the Titans kind of came around, wrapped him up. He was kind of spinning a little bit in the end zone, about ready to get a safety. And he throws out of desperation not to get that safety, but then he gets that pick instead. And then they put the Titans offense on the 1-yard line, basically, and then they obviously would lead to a score for the Titans. And then the next interception was just a straight-up pick six, and almost the same location, too.
Right.
And I feel like after that play, the game was pretty much lost because the Titans, even though Tannehill isn't really an electrifying quarterback by any means, he still has weapons and is competent and capable enough to where he's not going to be able to, just kind of butcher the whole flow of the team.
Right.
And again, you have weapons, you have Brown, you have Julio Jones, you have everybody you need to have just a consistent, steady flowing offense. And then when your defense gives you basically 14 points.
I'm just saying, give me that team any day of the week, and I promise you, give me that team on Madden, I'm winning the championship, no problem.
The Rams, you say?
I'm talking about I'm really talking about the Titans.
Oh, that's the Titans,
from an offensive standpoint, I got Julio and A.J. Brown. I got Derrick Henry when healthy. All I need Ryan Tannehill to do is get them the ball.
Exactly, yeah. Just give it to the top. Hey, whatever, by any means. And that's really what I love the Titans offense, because it's kind of just basically by any means necessary offense. Like, they will give it to Derrick Henry 40 times if they have to get a win. They will give it to Julio. They'll give it to Brown as many times necessary to get that win on the offense.
No, I definitely agree.
And it's hilarious to watch. And like, unfortunately, I think that just high usage rate from Derrick Henry just led to his injury. And stuff.
It definitely caught up with him. You know, he's been a power back for all the years he was at Alabama, coming into the league, being a rushing champion, rushing over 1,000 yards in multiple seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And so that wear and tear, you know, it came back to bite him in this season. He probably gonna come back stronger and better than ever.
True.
And he'll probably win a couple more rushing titles. I can see it.
100%.
Before he gets out. I mean, 2,000 yard seasons. Mm-hmm. And he's probably gonna win a couple more. He'll probably eclipse that 2,000 yard mark. Maybe a few more times in his career. I'd say 2 or 3. After coming back off injury and go from there.
Yeah, I can see that. And just for Derrick Henry, he's a lot. Well, just referencing that injury one more time. It wasn't like a play where it's just like, immediately you could see something went wrong. It was just there was no real play that you can point to be like, that's where he fractured his foot. It was just obviously just kind of wear and then just like little, slight crack in the foot just ends up being just a whole fracture.
Right.
And then because he was just getting, I believe it was against the Colts where he just kind of like, galloped off to the sidelines. And then kind of went down. So again, it was just kind of a wear and tear issue, and hopefully, I believe it was like 6 to 10 weeks. I believe.
Yeah.
Hopefully he can be. Hopefully he can do his thing. Maybe.
Come playoff time.
Come playoff time and do his thing. And then just from the Rams, Matthew Stafford obviously just kind of has to be better. Decision making has been his strength so far, and I feel like this was just a game where he was off. He was just off.
He was just off game.
Again, from the Rams perspective, it sucks, but sometimes a team that you probably should beat theoretically is just going to beat you. Especially when they have a solid team in the Titans. Then
it was probably a necessary L to put them back on track. I would say.
Why do you say that?
I just think the Rams. I think they got a little bit too overconfident after signing Von Miller.
That's fair. That is definitely.
Because I definitely got overconfident when they signed Von Miller.
Me too.
Because I'm like, you got Jalen Ramsey, you got Aaron Donald, you got Leonard Floyd. And then you just got Von Miller.
Crazy.
Your defense shouldn't be nothing but amazing.
Nothing but amazing. And, they I believe Jalen Ramsey got an interception. I think he did get an interception. Yeah, that was his pick 6, I believe. No, it wasn't pick 6, but he did get an interception.
Kevin Byard got the pick 6 for the Titans.
Yeah, for the Titans. There you go. Yeah. So, again, really good game from the Titans defense. Definitely surprised me. If they can play 80% of this on like a week in, week out basis, then I feel like the Titans can continue to be like really solid, and then by playoff time, hopefully Derrick Henry comes back. They can be a true threat in the playoffs.
No, I definitely agree with you on that one.
And then going to the last game that we're going to talk about here, the Browns beat the Bengals. And I'm more interested with the Odell discussion.
So I'm gonna tackle the game real quick because I do want to. That's the main reason I brought this up.
Okay.
Baker Mayfield, 14-21 for 218 yards, and he had 2 touchdowns. Right.
Mm.
Cool. Baker Mayfield had a pretty solid game. Nick Chubb, man, shout out to my boy Nick Chubb.
Of course.
Gonna give me this dub in fantasy.
Yes, sir.
14 carries, 137 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the day.
Yes, sir.
2 receptions for 26 yards as well. So definitely had a phenomenal game there. But Joe Burrow, 28 of 40 for 282 yards and 2 interceptions. Him and Jamari Chase, they had connections but couldn't find the end zone. Jamari Chase had 6 receptions for 49 yards. T. Higgins had 6 receptions for 78 yards. But neither of them could find the end zone. And it was pretty much left up to Joe Mixon, who found the end zone twice, but he only had 13 carries for 64 yards. And with the picks, Joe Burrow threw a pick 6 to Denzel Ward, which hurt.
For sure.
And then John Johnson III got a pick as well. But this was a game that Joe Burrow needed to calm down. He had been on a tear already.
Yeah.
It was very much a calm down game for him. And it was a game that also answered the question for Baker Mayfield of people were saying if Case Keenum if they could sign Case Keenum, why bring back Baker Mayfield? Word. I think Baker Mayfield not necessarily quieted the haters, but kind of answered the question I'm the quarterback of the Browns. Let me do it.
Yeah, I'm not really high on Baker Mayfield, but yeah, I would definitely say that I would have him. He's definitely the quarterback. They've chosen him. It's kind of like an offense, kind of like that's already put in like his form to.
It's
like,
already in his hands.
It's already in his hands. It's already ready for him to get the ball rolling and just continue to have competitive seasons. So I wouldn't mess up a thing that's already going in a fairly positive direction. And then just Odell.
My thoughts on it are Odell was never a fit for the team after that first season.
Yeah, I can see that.
You know what I'm saying?
I can see that.
And so it was time. It was time for him to move on from Cleveland. I thought I was really hoping to see the LSU brothers back in action. You know, both of them getting splitting the targets. Like I feel like if Odell would have split the same targets he split with Jarvis Landry, there would have been no issues in Cleveland. But Odell wasn't getting the ball at all. No. And so I would be mad too.
Yeah, I would be irritated.
You know, his dad talked about the coach and the team and stuff like that. And you saw that Sunday, like Justin Jefferson was wearing a free Odell hoodie before they get. It was Vikings. I think it was KJ Osborne as well. That was wearing a free Odell jersey. And I ain't gonna say a lot to you. Odell got a lot of places he could go. I would love to see him on the Ravens.
Yep. Me too, man. That would be excellent.
I think Odell in Chicago would be crazy. I think Odell in Chicago would be crazy because Allen Robinson and Justin Fields, I don't feel like they have the greatest connection.
So not to be like one of these, I feel like a lot of attention is going to be taken. It's just a lot of attention. There's just going to be a media storm in Chicago if he goes to the Bears. And I feel like if you're a young QB, a young team in general, I wouldn't really want that. Just because I just want to make sure, because we don't even really know about the head coach situation. I'm not going to lie to you.
Right.
So I don't think having Odell to the mix is a great, recipe for success. Even though obviously from a pure football standpoint, that would be great.
Right.
So I wouldn't say from like again, from a team like advertising, morale, locker room, everything perspective, that would be smart. But again, football perspective for sure.
So where would you like to see him go? If you could put him on, if you could put him on the team, where would you like to see him go?
Ravens. I honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to I'm not sure how it happens, but like maybe to the Rams. That would be absolutely ridiculous.
If he goes to the Rams, if the Rams don't win if Odell Beckham Jr. goes to the Rams, it's Super Bowl or bust. There's nothing less.
There's nothing less, no.
It's Super Bowl or bust. You have too many weapons. Cooper Kupp is already probably the best wide receiver in that division because of the fact that like he just gets so many targets and he gets so many yards and he tears up defenses. But you just added Odell Beckham Jr. to that team. That's ridiculous.
Ridiculous. And I wouldn't be surprised either. Big market, anything's possible. He might just, get tired of living in Cleveland, Ohio, and being like, I want to see some ocean. I want to see some LA women, and then just go over there.
See, but he got a girlfriend, so I don't know if he want to see the LA women. But I would definitely say if he goes to the Rams, that would be crazy. I would love to see him in Chicago.
I think the Cowboys would be a decent fit for him.
He goes to the Cowboys. Ooh, pin drop. This is what I gotta say. Yeah. He goes to the Cowboys. They gotta trade Amari Cooper. You cannot keep Amari Cooper and Odell Beckham on the same team. Because
why do you say that?
Because think about it. Now you have Odell Beckham Jr., you have Amari Cooper, and you got CeeDee Lamb.
Man, yeah, that would definitely. I didn't even I low-key forgot about Amari Cooper. I'm not gonna lie.
I can see another place. Another place I can see him ending up is Atlanta.
Atlanta, yeah.
Because Calvin Ridley retired, or he's going to sit out the rest of the season.
There was a report, I forget where, but I think Odell's camp had like a list of, maybe not a list, but like one or two teams where he kind of preferred to, but all of them were kind of contending teams.
Oh yeah, Calvin Ridley stepped away from football, and so
he did. Yep.
Odell would be one of the perfect people to slot in and replace him. Another place I would not mind seeing Odell Beckham Jr. go to is the Chargers.
The Chargers, yes, I would like to see.
Because you can pair him very well with Keenan Allen. You got Austin Eckler as a running back, and so it's a couple places I would love to see him go, but the Ravens is definitely my number one choice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though they have Hollywood Brown already, I think if you pair Hollywood Brown with Odell Beckham Jr., like, and Marcus Peters comes back next year for the Ravens, it's Super Bowl or bust.
It really is. It really is. That just sounds like a fun team. It's already a fun team with, of course, it's Lamar Jackson. It's already a fun team. But with all those weapons, with all those players, it would be electric. And that will do it for Sports Extra this week. Catch us next week, same time, same place, Z90.7 FM. It has been me, Joseph Moore.
And Christian Hill.
For today, and catch us again next week, 6 to 7. Have a great day. Have a great night. All right.
Good shit, Joe.
Yup.
Good shit.